Choose FI, Your Blueprint to Financial Independence by Chris Mamula, Brad Barrett, and Jonathan Mendonça. Picture this. You're an accountant. A really good one, actually. You've checked all the boxes. Attended a solid school, earned your certifications, landed that stable corporate job everyone said you should want. You've got the family, the house, the life that from the outside screams, successful adult. But inside, something's gnawing at you. There's this low-grade frustration that greets you every morning like an unwelcome houseguest. It's the small stuff that gets under your skin. Those mind-numbing meetings that accomplish absolutely nothing. The pointless rules that exist solely to remind you who's in charge. For a guy named Brad Barrett, the breaking point arrived on the most unremarkable of days. A new memo landed. All employees must now show up at 8 o'clock sharp, instead of 8:30. Pure power move. Nothing whatsoever to do with getting work done. Everything to do with FaceTime, that bizarre corporate theater where you prove your value by warming a chair. Something in him just broke. He went home that evening and told his wife, "I can't do this anymore. I'm done." Days later, he walked into his boss's office and quit. Now, most people in that situation would be absolutely terrified. They'd be drowning in mortgage payments, car loans, and that stomach-churning fear of watching their bank account hit zero. But Brad? He was different. He had what he called a secret superpower. Years of building what the financial independence community calls screw you money. Maybe not enough to never work again, but just enough to say, no thanks, when life tried to shove him down a path he didn't want to walk. That single choice, picking freedom over fear, sits at the very heart of the book we're diving into today. Choose FI, Your Blueprint to Financial Independence, created by Chris Mamula, Brad Barrett, and Jonathan Mendonça. This isn't your typical save more, spend less snooze fest. It's basically a manifesto for living differently. It's packed with real stories, practical strategies, and a mindset shift that sparked a global movement of people quietly ditching the life script they were handed and instead designing something that actually fits. Over the next little while, I'm going to walk you through their blueprint. We'll dig into the surprisingly simple math that can slash your working years in half, then half again. We'll explore why building wealth has way less to do with being a stock market genius and way more to do with becoming what they call a valuist. And here's the kicker. You'll see that financial independence isn't some fantasy reserved for tech billionaires and lottery winners. It's literally a mathematical outcome available to anyone willing to walk a different path. It really is a superpower, and by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly how to start building yours. Most of us are sleepwalking down a path we never actually chose. It's been laid out since birth, paved by schools, parents, and society's expectations. They call it the standard path. You know it well. Nail those grades to get into a good college. Get that degree to land a high-paying job. Use that job to buy a nice house. Finance a couple of shiny new cars. And maybe, if you're really lucky, grab 2 or 3 weeks of vacation each year. Then you grind away until somewhere around age 65, when you're finally granted permission to stop. For millions of people, this isn't a path. It's a hamster wheel, an endless cycle of making money to pay for a lifestyle that demands you keep making money. You end up living completely out of sync, saying family matters most while handing your best hours and energy to a boss. The authors of Choose FI argue this path isn't carved in stone, it's a choice, and there's absolutely another option. This alternative begins with a wake-up call. For some, it's dramatic. Take Joel and Alexis, a young couple of engineers mindlessly burning through their paychecks. One year they're blowing over $100,000 on random stuff they can't even track. The next, they're staring at a totaled car after an accident, suddenly aware of how fragile everything is. That near miss became their turning point. They went from saving 7% to over 80% in a single year. Not because they suddenly loved living like monks, but because they discovered something worth pursuing, buying their freedom instead of more junk. For others, it's quieter, a slow realization, a persistent feeling that life should offer more. That's what Scott Rekins felt while living what looked like a dream life on a gorgeous San Diego beach. The more successful he got, the harder he worked to pay for it all, until he realized he barely had time to enjoy any of it. His awakening came through a podcast interview with a blogger who called himself Mr. Money Mustache, talking about living better and happier, while spending way, way less. This is where the real journey to financial independence FI begins, not with spreadsheets and budgets, but with one crucial question: why? What life are you actually trying to create? Is it leisurely coffee mornings with your partner instead of frantic rushes out the door? Living in the mountains surrounded by nature, like Liz and Nate from Frugal Woods decided? Or simply reclaiming your time, that most precious, totally non-renewable resource? Once you nail down your why, the authors explain, the how becomes almost shockingly straightforward. Financial independence isn't about being an investing wizard or pulling down a massive salary. It hinges on one critical factor: your savings rate. This is the Ungle insight from that famous Mr. Money Mustache post, the shockingly simple math behind early retirement. Your savings rate, what percentage of income you actually keep, determines how fast you escape the rat race. Think about it. Save 10% of your income? Takes 9 years to bank enough for 1 year of expenses. Save 50%? You're saving a year's worth of expenses every single year. At that pace, you hit financial independence in roughly 17 years. Push it to 75%? You're looking at just 7 years. This beautifully simple math reveals the secret engine of FI. And that engine runs on 3 fundamental levers: spend less, earn more, and invest better. The journey is really about learning to pull these levers effectively. The first and most powerful lever is spend less. Now, this probably conjures images of extreme penny pinching, endless rice and beans, holy socks, joyless sacrifice. But the authors completely flip this script. This isn't about deprivation. It's about becoming what they call a valuist. A valuist consciously matches spending with values. They spend generously on things that genuinely bring joy and fulfillment, and ruthlessly eliminate everything else. Brad, one of the ChooseFi creators, values travel and family experiences. So he figured out how to use credit card rewards to take his whole family, grandparents included, on a Disney trip that should have cost over $4,000 for just $150. But you'll also catch him wearing free t-shirts and flip-flops, because fancy clothes? Not his thing. Classic valuist. To become one, you first need to know where your money's actually going. Track your expenses. Not to beat yourself up, but to see if your financial reality matches what you say matters. Once you've got that clarity, apply the 80/20 rule and tackle the 3 biggest expenses trapping most people: housing, transportation, and food. For housing, the book drops a radical concept called house hacking. This is what Chad, Coach, Carson pulled off. He bought a 4-unit building, lived in one, rented out the other 3. His tenants' rent covered his entire mortgage. One move, and he eliminated his biggest expense while turning it into an income stream. Others rent out a room, live with roommates, or simply choose smaller, more affordable places instead of maxing out what a bank will approve. For transportation, the logic's crystal clear. A new car is basically a wealth destruction machine, losing nearly 20% of its value in year 1 alone. The FI community embraces reliable older used cars. Brad and his wife drive vehicles over a decade old. They haven't had a car payment in years, and estimate that one decision alone added over $100,000 to their net worth. Then there's food. This constant expense, built from tiny daily choices, packs massive long-term impact. The fix? Cook at home. Jay, a geologist trying to get his family on the FI path, discovered he and his wife were dropping $24,000 yearly just on eating out and convenience food. By planning meals and cooking together, they not only saved a fortune, but rediscovered a shared activity that improved their lives. Once you master spending less, you create a gap between earning and spending, The next lever widens that gap by earning more. But this isn't about chasing any salary at any cost. It starts with a crucial early decision: college. The book challenges the idea that you must attend the most prestigious, expensive school that accepts you. For some careers, doctor, lawyer, engineer, a degree's non-negotiable. But for many others, it's an expensive piece of paper with a mountain of debt attached. Jonathan, one of the authors, calls pharmacy school his biggest financial mistake. He graduated at 28 with $168,000 in student loans. Took him years of intense focus just to crawl back to zero. The book proposes a new approach: hack college. Find ways to get the degree's value without the crushing cost. Start at community college, where credits are cheap and often transfer. Apply for niche scholarships, like Cody Berman did, writing 5 template essays and mass applying to win nearly $20,000 a year. Find employers who'll pay your tuition. Or, for some fields, skip college entirely and pursue high-demand skills like coding or trades, where you start earning and learning immediately. Once you're working, treat your career like your biggest investment. Isai Money, former president of a $100 million company, explains your career as a multi-million-dollar asset. Small increases in starting salary or annual raises compound into hundreds of thousands or even millions over a lifetime. The key? Relentlessly focus on adding value. Manage yourself by constantly learning new skills. Manage your boss by understanding what they value most and consistently over-delivering. To truly accelerate your career, though, you need more than skills. You need a network, not the sleazy corporate kind with awkward business card exchanges. Real relationships built on what Jordan Harbinger calls, always be giving. Help people, connect people, add value, without expecting anything back. Paradoxically, that generosity creates a tribe of people eager to help you succeed. This exact spirit brought Brad and Jonathan together to create the Choose FI podcast. With the first 2 levers, spending less and earning more, you create the fuel for financial independence. The third lever, invest better, transforms that fuel into a perpetual motion machine powering your life forever. Here again, the book smashes conventional wisdom. Most people think investing is impossibly complex. Best left to expensive experts. The authors reveal this complexity is often a myth perpetuated by a financial industry profiting from confusion. The most effective path for most people is actually the simplest, championed by J.L. Collins in The Simple Path to Wealth. Invest in low-cost, broad-based index funds, essentially buying a tiny slice of every major company. And hold on. Don't try picking winning stocks. Don't try timing the market. Just buy the whole haystack, not the needle. As Warren Buffett himself advised for his own estate, this simple strategy outperforms most high-fee professional managers long-term. The key? Control what you can, your behavior, and especially your fees. A seemingly tiny 1 or 2% advisor fee can devour over half your potential nest egg over a lifetime. So how much do you need? The community uses the 4% rule. Based on historical data, you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio yearly, adjust for inflation, and likely never run out. To find your FI number, flip the math. Multiply annual expenses by 25. Need $40,000 yearly? Your FI number's $1 million. This rule powerfully shows why spending less matters so much. Every dollar cut from annual spending is $25 you don't need to save. That $100 monthly cable bill isn't just $100, it's $30,000 of your freedom. The simple index fund path is powerful, but not the only way. For entrepreneurial spirits, there's the active path, building a business. Todd Tresidder calls this creating equity out of thin air. Instead of investing money, you invest time, ideas, and sweat. This path offers unlimited upside but comes with risk. The book shows how to de-risk it, though. Start a side hustle while employed. Follow the lean startup model like Brad and Jonathan did, spending just a few hundred to launch. Flip the traditional model. Sell it first to confirm people will actually pay, then build it. The third path hybridizes the others: real estate. Real estate harnesses two powerful forces: sweat, equity, and leverage. Use your skills to find and improve properties, adding direct value. Use leverage, borrowing from banks, to control large assets with small amounts of your capital. Your tenant's rent pays down your mortgage, building equity for you. When managed wisely, this can be one of the fastest routes to passive income. The beauty? You don't have to pick just one path. Combine them. House hack a property to eliminate living expenses and invest savings in index funds. Build a side hustle generating extra income to buy rental properties. Choose your own adventure. This brings us to the book's most important lesson. The FI journey isn't a grim 10-year prison sentence you endure to finally be happy. Financial independence isn't a destination. It's a spectrum of progressive freedom starting the moment you take control. Pay off debt, reach, getting to zero, a huge milestone opening options. Build an emergency fund, gain cushion against uncertainty. Grow investments to, screw you money, gaining power to leave toxic jobs. Each step grants more power, security, and choice. Chris Mamula, the lead author, admits he temporarily lost sight of this. He became so fixated on the finish line, so regretful of past mistakes, he couldn't enjoy the present. Brandon, the mad scientist, had a similar experience, isolating himself for 2 years in hyper-focused pursuit, only to realize upon reaching his goal that nothing magically changed. His happiness wasn't waiting at his FI number. It was something he had to cultivate along the way. The ultimate goal, the authors conclude, isn't early retirement, in the traditional endless leisure sense. It's what Jay from Slowly Sipping Coffee calls a fully funded lifestyle change. It's freedom to design a life of purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Freedom to fail, explore, pursue work you love without paycheck pressure. It's rediscovering possibility, realizing you were born to do more than just pay bills and die. It's the power to finally live the advice we give our kids. You can be and do anything you want. You just have to choose it. Wrapping up our journey through Choose FI, it's hard not to feel genuinely energized. This book transcends financial advice. It's a powerful reminder of our own agency. In a world often feeling chaotic and beyond control, the message here is refreshingly direct. Your choices, especially small daily financial ones, have genuine power to reshape your future. What strikes me most is how the authors redefine success. The standard path measures success through external markers, job titles, house size, car brands. It's life built around looking rich. The FI path instead is about being rich, not in possessions, but in time, freedom, and options. It's a quiet internal victory. It's the stealth wealth community, valuing a 50% savings rate over a luxury vehicle. The valuist concept is, for me, the book's most transformative idea. It releases you from consumerist pressure to keep up with the Joneses. You suddenly realize the Joneses are broke, stressed, and trapped on the same wheel you're escaping. Being a valuist gives permission to be different. To say, no, I don't care about that, but this matters deeply. Then put your money where your heart lives. This shift from unconscious spending to intentional living is the foundation for everything else. The second powerful lesson is life de-risking. The standard path gets presented as safe, yet it's incredibly fragile, leaving people one paycheck from disaster, tethered to a single employer for income and healthcare. The FI path, seemingly radical, actually builds profound security. High savings rate, multiple income streams, zero debt. This creates resilience few ever experience. It empowers you to weather economic storms, navigate unexpected life events, and take calculated risks on your terms. How can you start applying this today, right now? 3 simple actions. First, for the next 30 days, just track your spending. Don't change anything, don't judge. Simply observe your financial life. Use an app or notebook. This awareness is the essential first step, the awakening that starts everything. Second, calculate your savings rate. Take total monthly savings, divide by total monthly take-home pay. This single number is your most important financial metric. It tells you more than anything how long your journey to freedom takes. Knowing your starting point is empowering. Third, answer why. Take 10 minutes and write what freedom looks like for you. Be specific. What would you do with time if you didn't trade it for money? This, why, becomes fuel carrying you through challenges and keeping focus when the standard path tries pulling you back. That was a summary of Choose 5 by Chris Mamula, Brad Barrett, and Jonathan Mendonca. We've covered the core ideas, but a summary is like viewing a map of a beautiful country. Shows you the layout, key cities, major roads, but can never replace actually walking the streets, breathing the air, meeting the people. The book's true power lives in dozens of individual stories and detailed practical advice bringing these concepts alive. If any part sparked something in you, a flicker of hope, a sense of possibility, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just absorbing information, it's joining a conversation that could genuinely change your life's direction. You'll find a link in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you catch our next deep dive into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.